Coach, I guess my first question is how do you handle that when a game kind of gets out of control so early and you fall behind 21 to nothing? As a coach on the sidelines, what do you do in that situation?
You're trying to make sure that the players are okay, that they're not those so distraught that they're going to give up and quit and not play hard. And we didn't have that problem whatsoever. You try to make sure that they're confident in what you're trying to do on offense and defense, and tell them not to worry about the scoring. Just keep playing the game and see what happens.
You know, Coach, you talked about it with us prior to the game against Boise State. You had felt that your team maybe was a little bit too hyped up going into the TCU game. Same story going into the Michigan game. And in both of those games, you fell behind early. And then, unfortunately, the same thing happened to you against Boise State. Do you think it was a matter of being just a little hyped up, trying to do a little bit too much, and before you know it, you're down 21-0?
I think that has been our problem all year in the big games. We haven't learned how to handle ourselves on the big stage, so to speak. I guess we get too excited or too nervous or something, because whenever we play a team that is considered to be a really good football team, we haven't performed as well as we should have or could have. And I think that's just a product of the program maturing. We got to get in those situations more and more and more, and pretty soon it won't be a big deal.
What's your thought when it gets out of control early like that? As a coach, I know you never want to give up on a game, but do you know that realistically you're not going to win this one, so you just kind of have to coach that way the rest of the game?
Well, realistically, you're not going to win, but there's been bigger comebacks than that in the history of football. So you keep playing hard and keep doing things that you think will give you a chance to win, and hopefully you're one of those surprise stories that overcomes that big a deficit and wins the game.
Let's talk about how good Boise State is real quick, and then we'll get back to your football team. I mean, they had a lot to do with everything that happened in that game. I mean, their speed, they were on your punt returner probably a little bit earlier than he expected them to be. The way they hit probably knocked the ball loose on your kickoff return. They dropped back into a great zone read play defensively. I don't think Ryan Lindley saw the defensive end drop back and pick off that pass. So, I mean, this happened against an awfully, awfully good Boise State team, and then you give them the field position, and Kellen Moore, I mean, his accuracy is incredible. I was impressed at the way you guys played him and knocked away as many passes as you did, because you've got to have tight coverage to knock away one of his passes.
Well, I think he's the most accurate thrower in college football, and probably the most accurate one I've seen. We knew that going in. We also knew that the only chance we had to slow them down was to be able to blitz them and play man coverage. Now, our man coverage wasn't very good, and we got beat on several deep balls. The turnovers are going to happen. It's disappointing that they happen so early and so back-to-back, because I think if they would have happened that throughout the spread of the game, I think it would have been a really good game to watch and really good game to be a part of.
Coach, what was the thinking with Ronnie Hillman? He made a brief appearance and then not again, and what's his status going forward?
Well, we warmed Ronnie up in pregame. He looked okay, so we put him in the game, and it was obvious to us on the sidelines that he was better than we expected, but he didn't have the juice or the explosion that he normally has. So we decided to go with Adam, and Adam did okay, so there was no reason to put him back in the game.
Ryan Lindley had his first 300-yard passing game of the season. I thought that was a tribute to Ryan Lindley. Also, your offensive line, which did a pretty good job against a very good Boise State defensive line. I mean, they are big and athletic. They had 315-pound guys jumping up and batting down passes. You don't see that. You don't see that every day. But I don't know. I think Ryan was only sacked once. He had some time to throw. Your receivers looked like you were in sync. So the passing game, I think, was something positive that came out of that game on Saturday night.
Well, I thought in the second half, I thought the last two games Ryan has really played well. And in the second half, I thought our receivers caught the ball better than they have all year. So hopefully that's a positive sign going into the last two games. And you talk about Boise, that's what top 10 teams look like. We just haven't seen very many of them.
Boise State is 7th in the new BCS standings that came out yesterday. Theoretically, they could get up to 5th or even 4th by the end of the regular season, but they will not get an automatic bid to a BCS Bowl. Do you think they deserve to be an at-large selection to one of the BCS Bowl games?
Oh, in my mind, they really deserve to be an at-large bid, and I think if things shake out right, they will get one, but we'll have to wait and see.
Rocky Long is with us. Aztecs lose to Boise State 52-35, 6-4 the record, 2 games left. You have to take them one at a time. Let's talk a little bit about UNLV coming up on Saturday night. This is a 2-8 football team, but I know that you'll do your best to make sure that your guys aren't overlooking them, especially on a road game.
Well, I mean, anybody that we play is good enough to beat us, and they have some talented players at the skill positions. The coach has done a good job. They're playing hard. They're 0-6 on the road, but they're 2-2 at home. So they play much, much better at home. We went there 2 years ago, and it was the last game of the year, and they had a similar record, and they beat us. So hopefully the older guys on our team realize what we're getting into and how important these last 2 games are.
Your team has played some nice games on the road recently, at Colorado State, at Air Force. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think our team is pretty mentally tough, and as long as we don't think it's a top 10 team, I think we get ready to play with the right mentality. I think when we play those top 10 teams or those teams that we think are in the top 25, we get too emotional, we get too excited, and we got to learn how to treat every game the same and prepare the same way. And I think our guys will prepare well this week. I think we'll play good.
Adam Nwema will get the start most likely, though. Ronnie Hillman, 50-50, you think, to get some more action this season? I mean, you don't want to hurt that. Those high ankle sprains are those crazy things that really just don't go away.
Yeah, you don't know how he's going to be, but he's going to practice this week. And we'll see how he does in practice. And if he's close to 100%, Ronnie will start.
Did you come out? I'm sorry, Ben. Did you come out with any other injuries Saturday night?
Not anything real serious, but we've got some guys that are bumped and bruised and all that, like everybody this time of year. But we didn't lose anybody for the season.
Has Ronnie approached you at all about the decision he has to make at the end of the season, or is that something that is going to simply wait until the end of the season?
Well, him and I talked about it a long time ago, about 3 weeks into the season when it was in the newspapers and everything, and him and I talked about it, and we're going to discuss it again once the season's over.
All right, Coach. Well, best of luck coming up against UNLV. 6-4, still a chance to make some big things happen this season. Back-to-back 8-4 seasons, and a bowl game wouldn't be too shabby. We wish you the best in that pursuit.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot for having me on.